Jelang peringatan Hari Perempuan Internasional pada 8 Maret, sejumlah aktivis dari berbagai komunitas dan organisasi berbasis isu perempuan dan kesetaraan gender kembali menggelar aksi Women's March 2018. Aksi dimulai sekitar pukul 7 pagi dan dibuka dengan berjalan kaki dari Jalan Tamrin menuju Taman Aspirasi Monas.
Year after the Women's March in the US, there were a number of people in Indonesia who started asking, hey, why don't we have a Women's March in Indonesia? And some of us from the Jakarta Feminist Discussion Group, JFDG, we had thought about holding a Women's March, but we weren't sure how much interest there would be. So we talked about it myself, two other activists, Oli Montero and Chica Noya. We started discussing the possibility of holding a Women's March. And then we started reaching out to a number of other organizations and it sort of snowballed from there. So that's why we decided to hold it in March rather than in January as in the US and other countries, because we wanted to make sure that it aligned more with International Women's Day, and it's really more of a celebration rather than a traditional protest like what's being done overseas. So I think in 2017 we had 39 different organizations involved. Last year we had about 50 different organizations and community groups involved in the march. So yeah, it's getting better each year and bigger each year, which is really nice.
Itu cuma salah satu bagian dari yang datang di Women's March ya. Nggak cuma perempuan atau laki-laki yang ingin mengartikulasikan gender dan sexual identity-nya. Karena memang banyak sekali kelompok yang hadir di sana. Ada perempuan buruh, ada juga saya ingat waktu itu selain perempuan buruh, kayak kelompok difabel kalau nggak salah waktu itu hadir. Jadi menurut saya memang salah satunya mungkin adalah kelompok seksual minoritas, tapi memang tidak satu-satunya kelompok. Saya tidak terkejut dengan kehadiran teman-teman LGBT karena memang event ini menjadi sebuah ruang yang aman buat mereka untuk bisa mengartikulasikan gender and sexual identity mereka, di mana mereka bisa bertemu dengan teman-teman yang mendukung mereka, tidak mendiskriminasi mereka, dan mereka juga bisa menyuarakan aspirasi mereka yang selama ini seringkali didiskriminasi secara sistemik. Sekarang kan semakin parah ya untuk kita membicarakan tentang isu LGBT aja di area kampus yang harusnya tempat di mana kita bisa membicarakan semua hal secara dari sisi akademis, tetap aja mendapat pertentangan. Jadi saya rasa space ruang semacam Women's March ini memang benar menjadi satu ruang yang aman bagi mereka untuk muncul di ruang publik, menyuarakan aspirasi mereka. Gelombang ketiga itu warna yang paling terlihat adalah keberagaman. Juga termasuk di sana interseksionalitas, kata kuncinya tuh itu. Jadi di tahun 2018, 2017 itu saya melihat bahwa ya ini sebuah bukti nyata bahwa kalau kita mau mengaitkan dengan gender theories atau feminist theories, isunya tuh bisa kalau misalkan di Indonesia tuh ada yang persoalan buruh.
So because even though I'm not openly like my expression of like openly expressing my identity, I saw a lot of people who were openly expressing their identity, like holding hands. There are some couples holding hands and stuff. Nobody really like mocked them or just being negative towards them. I think everybody was just minding their own business and having fun in general, or maybe they're expressing like tiny comments of approval towards these couples that I saw and watched.
Yang expect, well, I did expect a great amount, a great number of people sih. Tapi wow, match pertama itu tuh nggak terlalu banyak sih. Quite long, tapi nggak sebanyak tahun kedua. Kita berusaha publik, tapi ya juga publiknya hati-hati gitulah, kayak siaga-siaga gitu. Tahun ini itu lebih publik banget.
the women's movement and the queer movement, they're very closely related, and they need to be. If we want to be able to achieve freedom and equality and particularly freedom of expression and identity, we need to work together. Women's movement and queer movement needs to work together. And we won't be successful without that. So I think that's why that's really important. And I think it's also a lot of the issues are really related, looking at the draft criminal code at the moment, for example, there are passages which refer to both women and queer people in them as potentially being, sites of criminality, essentially. And I think that's why we need to incorporate those demands and those concerns into one broader command. We want, particularly trans women too, we want them to be recognised as women. We invite trans women to be on the committee, to give speeches as well. And other groups as well that are socially pushed to the side, like sex workers, people with HIV/AIDS. This is all really important to have represented in it. So we really want it to be a space where people do feel comfortable to express themselves, and that's also why it's not just about making a demand, but it's also about expressing yourself in ways maybe you might not be able to at other times, because we do have an element of protection there. We have permission from the police and from the government to do this, and I think that's why perhaps people also feel safe. The main opposition groups are really community groups, who don't perhaps see the same issues the same way that we do. That's really where the main pushback is coming from, more so than the government actually, which is really interesting, I find, because if you compare, say, Women's March here to Women's March in the US, that's a very government-focused issue. And you have President Trump, who's very much against Women's March and is very wishing this didn't happen. Whereas here we got really good support from the government. Yeah, so we saw really good, really high level of interaction from the queer community relating to Women's March on social media. Particularly people displaying attributes and symbols and so on that they might otherwise not necessarily be as brave to do so in a public space. And I think that got a really high level of engagement because, like you've said, there aren't really many other outlets for that, particularly for younger people. And I think that's why we see a lot of young people, teenagers as well, who are coming to the march to try and express themselves or maybe test the waters and see how far they can go in identifying themselves and finding out who they are also, which I think is really nice. It's a really it's a safe environment, we hope, to do that, and that's something we really aim for. Yeah. But in terms of the social media, leading up to the march, it was 100% positive. There was from all different communities, including the queer community. There was a lot of really good feedback, good expectations. It was after the march that it started to get a little bit dangerous. People started to lock down social media accounts as well, not just queer people, but also straight people from the women's movement, because of the threats people were receiving.
Kita bersama-sama untuk bukan hanya menambah space. Boleh kita mulai dari menambah space, Women's March menjadi awal, tapi PR kita bersama untuk mengedukasi teman-teman kita, mulai dari yang dekat dulu, keluarga kita, untuk melihat bahwa teman-teman kita yang memiliki orientasi seksual yang berbeda dengan kita, ataupun teman-teman yang mengartikulasikan identitas gender yang kita rasa tidak seperti kita, mereka juga warga negara yang patut dilindungi dan mendapat perlindungan hukum.
I have a lot of hopes, I think particularly relating to laws and policies in Indonesia at the moment. I think that there is a long way to go relating to human rights broadly, I think, but particularly on a number of issues relating to women and queer people. That's a really big topic that I think a lot of work remains to be done on. I am tentatively hopeful that I do see, with things like Women's March, I do see a lot of young queer people, a lot of feminists, a lot of people who are new to all of this as well, starting to get involved because they're starting to realize, hey, there's actually a really big threat. Our whole identities, our whole lives here are under threat, and we could potentially be jailed, we could be criminalized for just being women or just being queer people. And I think that's really my hope, is that the people who are just starting to get involved now will take that up and continue it on, because there needs to be a refreshment in the movement. You know, if you look at both the women's movement and the queer movement in Indonesia, it's a lot of the same people, the same figures. You know, you see a news piece on queer issues in Indonesia, there's Dede Otomo again, who's quoted again and again, and that, you know, he's a great guy. But we need to have that refreshment of the movement and get more young people active and involved as well. So I think that's where my hope really is at the moment, and I'm feeling pretty optimistic about it. I'm feeling good about it. But yeah, we just have to wait and see how it goes over the next few years, particularly with a couple of big legal changes hanging over us with the criminal code.